So, hi there. Welcome to the Signature Self. I am super duper excited for you guys to join us today because I have Stephanie Martin O'Brien. Is that correct? You go fully by
Martin.
Martin. Okay, so Stephanie Martin. You'll see the full name on your Facebook, right? That's what you have on there.
Yeah. So, it's O'Brien Martin on Facebook because I built my brand before I got married and then got married. So.
Awesome. So guys, I'm super excited to have her on here and to introduce you. We had such a great conversation the other day that I just knew, I'm like, we have to jump on here and we have to talk about this. But some things that she has done is she's written flow versus force is a big thing that you talk about. And you wrote a book. Can you tell us the book name?
The Messy Middle.
The Messy Middle. Yeah, that's right. And then you do have, you have your Moved by Purpose.
Yep, that's the business name, Moved by Purpose. Signature program, Flow versus Force, and my book is The Messy Middle.
Awesome. I think you do a much better job at talking about that. So we will talk about that some more too here in just a minute. But man, the stuff that we were talking about, and I really want to jump right into that, but can you first tell us just a little bit about what you're doing right now, what you're excited about, and maybe give us a little bit of background as to how that's all come about?
Yeah, well, as we were chatting earlier this week, which is why you invited me, to do this, was I'm in my own really big transition and pivot myself. So for the past 7 years, I have built Moved by Purpose. And the story of how I even got into that is long. There's so many stories and pivots and changes that happen, especially over 7 years. And I could honestly talk an hour about it. So, but anyway, I started building Moved by Purpose because that was what I was really felt like I was called to do. That was my next step. Being younger and naive, I was a little in my 20s. I didn't quite understand how purpose even really worked or what, like I was still uncovering it and really learning a lot about it, though my business name is Moved by Purpose. And I knew my purpose is really to help other people uncover their purpose. And this whole journey has been me kind of uncovering that myself over the years, letting that unfold, then understanding how it applies to business and entrepreneurship and leadership. And so it's taken on so many different forms of how I actually operate in my purpose and gifting and serve the leaders and the companies and the brands that I work with through that. So I started off individually helping people that hated their job identify meaningful work. Well, now here I am, this change consultant and executive coach. Ask me when I first started this if I would ever do that. No. And as I was sharing, like, there were things that I've learned through entrepreneurship because my background's in social work, and I knew nothing about sales, marketing, branding, business, leadership. And I just stepped into this, trusting that what I needed to learn would be there. I read books, listened to podcasts, went to conferences, hired coaches, did all the things. That's, my big thing is doing all the things. And kind of rough start. I mean, a real long runway. Okay, this plane was not lifting. And it was very, very emotional because I knew that I believed in the power of the work I was doing. Couldn't figure out why I wasn't able to monetize it and get paid for it. And really just hit a wall of like, just really heartbreak, honestly. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. And that was really where I was. And I just believe that, that God brought me a coach in my time of need. I wasn't looking for one because I was broke. And I hired her because I wanted some business results, and she is a transformational life coach undercover. Saw all the things that were disconnecting me from my purpose, how I thought I was living in my purpose, but I truly wasn't aligning with it. And so she really did walked with me through that deep transformational work, that inner work, which is the harder work. It's the hardest work. It's not doing the things. It's like looking inside and healing and dealing and feeling and letting go and like all that stuff. For a doer and a high achiever, not my favorite. But all of that birthed. Because of that, it birthed my signature message, flow versus force. Because what she taught me is flow versus force. And so I see this beautiful ripple effect of what the power of purpose does.
And can we pause there for just a second? Because that's, I think, about the time that you and I actually met. And I remember you starting to talk about, like, you don't have to do all the things. You were kind of talking about burnout and how so many people are just like basically forcing all this stuff, right? Like they're pushing, they're forcing, they're doing everything, and, you know, they're getting burnt out, which goes into what we're going to talk about. But I loved that message. It really resonated with me because that's where I was at too.
Yeah. A lot of people are. Especially entrepreneurs. It's not just entrepreneurs. Like that, the flow versus force and burnout will resonate with who it needs to resonate with wherever they are. Now, I tend to really like working with coaches and like solopreneurs and like, you know, people really starting off a brand, because that is my story. I really can relate to the journey. But people tell me all the time, it's like, oh, it speaks to me. The business leaders are like, oh, this is so immensely wonderful to hear. So letting go of all those things and really being true to how you are wired. And honestly, flow is about, so, you know, I'm a person of faith. Not everyone has to share the same faith. So, you know, I think it's tuning into what God is saying. Some people might call that intuition. Either way, it's tuning in to this whisper. I call it the whisper, the nudge, and the kick the butt, because this is the process of how it tends to happen. Okay? It starts off as a whisper, and the more in tune you are, that's why they call it intuitive or intuition, the more in tune you are to like what's happening in your inner world, the more quickly you can shift and the less painful it gets, because you can really do a long, drawn out, slow, painful death.
Right.
And some of these are stubborn. Okay. And if you don't understand how this works. All right. And then, you know, I think it kicks up. If we're not listening, then it's more of a nudge, like a poke, like, okay, it's not a whisper, you're not. And then it's just a flat out kick in the butt. Like, okay, are we going to do something about this or not? All right. It's like, hello. So that was my journey. And as I was sharing, I hit that again. And as I was talking with you, I was like,
well, and I love what you talked about, a 7-year cycle.
Yeah.
Because what resonated with me on that is that, especially for those of us who are multi-capable, which is a lot of us, you can easily get yourself into almost anything, right? Like I can do just about anything. doesn't mean I should, but also it doesn't mean because I'm doing this right now that I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. And so I loved the kind of permission that you gave yourself to say, you know what? Yeah, it's been 7 years. I've done it. I liked it. I've been successful with it, but now I'm ready to pivot again. Can you tell us, so continue with your story on that?
Yes. So for me, 7 is a significant number for me. The way that God speaks to me and how he's operated in my life has been in numbers of 7. Like I started my business and in 7 months transition out to fully focus on building my business. So 7 is very significant. So it hit me that I'm approaching 7 years, and what I've built online, doing all the things that they tell you to, and like learning, like, you know, what to let go of, what to really pay attention. It works for you until it doesn't. There are things where it works for you until it doesn't. Like I did a podcast for 3 years, loved it until I hated it.
Yeah.
Just, you know, it's like, so I call that following the grace, like the grace, the empowering grace, the flow to continue doing what you're doing doesn't mean it's forever. That's the thing that I was saying about. I thought it was forever. Like once you find your purpose and you love something, you love it so much you cannot imagine never doing it or changing it or that ever stopping, and that it's going to be forever. I thought the same thing with entrepreneurship, working for myself, building this baby, birthing this, creating something from nothing. I mean, what an amazing, glorious, exhilarating experience. And then it stopped working for me. And that's around the year 7, I'm like, I am shook. Like this scares me. I was like, I never ever thought that I would ever maybe work for someone else or get a job. Because I love entrepreneurship, I really do. At the same time, it's not working for me anymore. I'm like sitting at home alone, isolated, staring at the computer, like not having the energy of peers and a leader to mentor me and invest and develop in me, and I'm paid for that instead of having to pay for that.
Right.
I mean, there's certain things about entrepreneurship that are really tough and hardly talked about. Like when you let go of employment, you are really like, there's a lot of hype, okay, and glamour on entrepreneurship. Everyone wants to be their own boss, and they use terms like you get to call the shots and live life on your terms and all these really attractive things to someone that's burned out in their day job. Of course they're going to want that because it's the only thing they don't have right now. What is not spoken is like, okay, but you will literally have no leader, no company, no floor, no resources to tap into unless you pay for it, and those come at a nice price tag. I mean, I charge my services, all right, like, and then you let go of your peers. If you're an external processor and you need to like have a colleague with you almost daily or someone to call, I mean, again, you could pay for that, thousands of dollars. I mean, like it's just, so that's the reality of what this is. And again, I had the grace to sustain me for 7 years, and now I've just hit this like, I still can. Beautiful thing is I know what my purpose is, and it takes many, many times. For a season, it was entrepreneurship. Now it's like, oh, I so welcome a team, and I welcome an existing structure and having a great leader to mentor me, and I'm paid. I don't have to pay that. I'm paid for that mentorship, because they mentor me to be able to excel and thrive in my job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that sounds absolutely glorious to me. So, and prior to that, I would have never looked at that, because I would be so terrified of letting go of control. I like calling the shots. But it's like, well, okay, I like calling the shots to an extent, okay, because now I'm really tired. I have decision fatigue, and everything is on me. And you want to own a business, and you own everything that comes with it. Here are the loads of problems and pressure that accompany that.
Mm-hmm.
And my flow versus force really tries to alleviate that. But there is reality that there are some things that you will have to do that you don't want to do. And it's not always life on your own terms. And then I'm like, define what freedom is, because the moment that this freedom and flexibility feels toxic and suffocating, you are not free. And so that's the reality to me when it hit me of like, well, I love my freedom and flexibility, except I don't feel free at all right now. I feel imprisoned to this business right now. And the moment I started really tuning into that and acknowledging those feelings, because I shoved it down, and of course I did, because this was my baby and I loved it. It worked for me until it wasn't, and those are scary things to face. This is change for everyone. Everyone goes through this, no matter what big significant change that they are facing and tough decisions they're making. This is why change is scary, because you really have to be honest.
Yeah. And let's make sure we say too, because someone could feel the same thing coming from a career to a business.
Yeah.
And also, we're not suggesting people don't start a business. We're just saying, look at the reality. And when you see all these advertisements and everything, and all these coaches that are telling you, oh, you can make, $55,000 in 1 month and all that stuff, you can. There is a huge potential there, right? But let's fully look at what it takes. And I agree with you, that is not being talked about enough.
Correct. Because the reality is there's a reason why businesses hire employees. Because you cannot do it all alone. It's impossible to absolutely run, operate, and own and build a business alone. Now, in the beginning, it's grit. Okay, it's a lot of. I don't necessarily love the word grind, but there is grit. I mean, it is. You get up and you go, and you pick up the phone, or you knock on the doors, or you get in front of faces, and you toughen up and get rejected, and you tough it out, and you stick to it until you produce the revenue so you could hire a team and start delegating. I didn't do any of that in the beginning. I was hiding out behind a computer because everyone tells me I need a website and a funnel and a blog and a social media following and a podcast. It's like, no, what you need is to produce sales. Learn how to sell and generate revenue. That is number one. And it's so funny how all these online marketers are not sharing that. I'm shocked at these conferences and these books, and I was like, out of everything I'm learning, I'm like, very few are actually teaching you how to actually sell something. I mean, they might teach you copy and all kinds of things, but how about an actual, when you're a coach especially, or when you're a speaker, you have to talk, have a real either face-to-face or a phone conversation. How are you on the phone? How are you in a face-to-face? When they throw some questions at you that your well-curated, thought-out copy isn't answering, are you able to answer with confidence? These are the things that I see over themselves. Oh, I hired a copywriter. Everything should be good. It's like, well, people solve questions.
Yeah.
How are you answering them? Well, the FAQ, frequently asked questions. I'm like,
it's so good. And I feel like this is a topic, honestly, that we can talk about like for hours, right? I mean, you and I had a pretty lengthy conversation, and I think one of the things that I see, and maybe this can be the last thing we speak to, but is how everybody's doing the same thing. Like I remember for a little bit there, everybody was doing a retreat. Everybody's starting a Facebook group. I mean, it's literally, you can watch like everybody's doing this thing. Email funnels. I mean, whatever it is, there's always like a surgence of everybody's doing this. And I think what we're talking about here, flow versus force, move by purpose, all of this stuff comes down to what works for you. Yeah. Job versus business, podcast versus a book. I mean, all of that stuff. What works for you?
And what are you called to do right now? Because that's a significant part of flow. I like to point people to God. What is God? Not what is all this external stimuli. Not what this expert said, and this coach said, and this person said, and this podcast told you to do. Not the external. I mean, even with your show, great. But like, go to the source. Like, go to the creator who created you for a purpose. It's for this purpose. What is he asking you to do? Mm-hmm. That's the power of flow. That it's like slowing down, getting that inner guidance, instead of living outside in, live from the inside out. That is the key of flow. Maybe you are. I have clients that are like, I really think I'm meant to just really focus on writing my book right now. Excellent. Focus on writing your book. I think it's kind of like, my podcast right now. I think I started it because it's why blah, blah, blah told me I need to. And not cut out for this. Great. You can pull the plug on that. Like, give yourself permission to know when to let go, Mm-hmm. And I say, some people think flow, there's flavors of flow, right? Like, I'm like, when you think of water, oh my goodness, is a powerful, powerful force. Okay, It could be still and quiet, all right? And then it could be a waterfall, Niagara Falls. Like, you can be in rapids. Okay, that's kind of where I feel like my flow right now is in rapids. Okay, we're hitting and it's a very bumpy ride, but I know that the current and the flow will get me there. It's not always this like peaceful, steady ease we all desire, but deep down I have that grounding, because it is the trust that I will get, that I will get to where I need to go, because I'm not forcing outcomes. And I'm letting, I'm playing I'm co-creator, co-labor, like I'm doing my part in this process, but also know when to let go. The moment I try to like make things happen, that's when we're in force, and that's when everything gets hijacked and it's a big old mess. So
I love it. That's so good. So if you could share just one thing, like if you're saying, okay, somebody is starting on this journey of kind of figuring out what's going to work for them. Maybe they are looking into starting a business, or maybe they are in a business and they're just like, I just feel like I might need to get a job. I don't know if I can do this anymore. Whatever their situation is, what would you say would be I love that you talk about God and intuition. What would be the first step that you would say they should take?
Oh, goodness. Let me unpack what I've done. As I said, I go to God in prayer, meditation, whatever that looks like for you, how that works for you. I need to be still. Like, I'll listen to some worship music and calm my mind. I like reading scripture. That's what works for me. I'll go on a walk. Either way, it's converse with the Creator and, ask your questions and then listen. trust that the answers will come. And so that, if you don't know how to like even tune into intuition or hear from, like some of my clients are like, this is new to me, I don't know how to do that.
It's true.
So I'm supported with that, but that's usually my first step. And if you don't know how to do that, feel free to reach out to me or someone that understands how to discern what is what. Because that is a skill in and of itself.
True. It's very
But
true.
that's where I would start. I would start with that, and it's understanding. Usually, there's a sense of relief. So here's some discernment pieces here: a sense of relief, expansion. Okay, because I believe God is love and abundant and peace. So if it accompanies those things, all right, not necessarily about your fears, okay? Like relief. This is where we can convince ourselves, because we're scared of something, so we'll convince ourselves that we don't have to do what we don't want to do, even though that is what we need to do. That kind of relief. Not that kind of relief, not the fake manufactured relief, but the true piece. So that's step number one. And then just being aware of, be honest. What isn't working for you? Write that down. What isn't working? What has? What have you done where you've had wins and successes? What have you really enjoyed about that? How can you carry that forward if you need to? And then what isn't working? What can you learn? So, moving forward to avoid repeating that. So all of that can help you change how you build your business model, or look, if you do want to go from entrepreneurship to employment or employment to entrepreneurship, like what about your job is really burning you out? Get clear on what isn't working and why. Okay, and then get clear on what things you have enjoyed and why. And that helps. These are all clues. It's a puzzle. I wish we get the blueprint. We don't.
Yeah.
Discovery of trial and error, of doing and learning. I don't necessarily like calling things a failure, even if it didn't work out at all like we expected. To fit forward, it's just nothing's wasted. We can just let go of the fear of wasting. I think you waste when you choose to do nothing and give in to fear all the time. That's what's being wasted.
Yeah.
Stepping out courageously and failing forward, that's not a waste.
Right.
Works for you way better than staying where you are out of fear.
That's so true. So true. I love it. Wow, such great stuff. So, Stephanie, can you let my audience know how they can get in touch with you? I'm sure there will be some that are like, oh my gosh, yes, I need to learn. I need to know how to do this. What do I do? And so how can they find you?
So I'm a big, like I said, I'm not building my email list. That doesn't work for me. I want to talk to you. I want to converse with you. You reach out to me and email me. I will personally respond to you. That's movedbypurpose.net is my website. You can hit the contact form or just directly email me at stephanie@movedbypurpose.net. On my website, there's a call. You want to call? You want to text? I will love on you. I'm such a high access person. So feel free. Reach out to me that way. I don't love the email marketing and the list and automation right now. Not working for me. Not working for me right now. So you want some access, and I think the market is kind of burned out from all of the automation. They want a human being when they call help support. Who wants a machine? Push blah blah blah. That's annoying. So I'm not doing that right now. So that is how you can get in touch with me.
Awesome.
Website, and then the phone number, call now, is on there.
I love it. I love it. I love the personal touch to it. So I could go on and on. I could ask you so many more questions. I love it. So I just thank you so much for sharing your story. It was beautiful. I just love your transition. I love your heart and I love what you're doing with that. And I think you're a great example. I am super excited for my audience to get to like hear your story. So thank you so much for being on here, Stephanie.
Yes, and one thing I want to clarify is I'm not letting go of my coaching and speaking. I'm not letting it go, dismantling it and letting it. I'm still doing it. What I'm
Yes.
transitioning to is doing this exclusively.
Yes.
So I'm fine transitioning to a day job and doing this on the side. So if you're like, wait, she's not gonna, it's like, no, it'll probably be evening hours and work around a daytime thing, but I'm still doing this. I'm not, going
Not
anywhere.
disappearing.
Exactly. So
Don't worry, the website we give you, all that will still be there.
I'll still be here. It will be.
Thank you for clarifying that. I'm so glad you did. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Stephanie, for being on. And we will see you next week.
Thank
Bye.
you.